Welcome to Stayf Draws. I'm Stayf, a Dutch illustrator and animator, and in this video I'm going to test Procreate 4 public beta. I'm going to test the watercolor brushes, and I'm also going to test the new pencils they have improved in Procreate 4. And I'm also going to show you how to use masks in Procreate 4 public beta. This is going to be a review of a new version of Procreate 4. It's the public beta, and I'm just going to show you which version I'm working on right now, and that's version 18672, and you can see it here. I'll also put it on the screen so that you know in which Procreate beta I'm working. There have been 3 more builds since the last video I did, so I'm just going to open it up, and I'm going to cover some other aspects of what's coming to Procreate 4. And I did this illustration with the watercolors, and you can find them here. Also, the structure of the brushes is different than Procreate 3.2. because now you have the brush sets on the left side, and then you can choose, all the brushes that are in that brush set. And when you go down here, you find water, and they already were in 3.2, but they have changed a lot. And I'm just going to show you a time lapse and some close-ups of drawing and painting with the watercolors and what has changed. The watercolors in Procreate 4 are a little bit more advanced than the earlier version. This is because there is a new way of creating your brushes, and that's the use of using bleed. So, when you do real watercolors on paper, most of the time when you just lay down the colors and paint over it, the colors will bleed into each other because you're building up your colors from light to dark. And there are several brushes in the brush set, and you just have to play around with it. I was just doing this illustration of Cubby the Lion. It's one of my characters. And I just wanted to test out if the watercolor brushes would be different, and I'm now painting in the piece of lettuce. You can see that the colors bleed a little bit, and when you build up your colors on top of it, it reacts a little bit like watercolor. But watercolors are the most difficult thing to mimic in digital art, and this comes closer to it, but it's not like painting with real watercolors. If you want to paint real watercolors, just do it on paper. This is a great improvement, and I also made a time-lapse video of this painting. I'll leave a link in the description box down below, or you can press on the eye and then you can see that video. There are some different things that have changed as well in Procreate 4. On the Canvas tab, there's also a change in the canvas information. When you press on it, a new window will open, and now you have more information about the canvas you're drawing in. You have the video file size, the maximum layers you can use, and the layers you're using, the video quality, and you can change that in the settings of your iPad, the video length, and the strokes that were made, and it now shows unavailable, so they will change it because I don't think it's working right now in this version. The image file size, the physical dimensions, and the physical dimensions are for a printed version of your canvas, and here are the pixel dimensions. And the DPI, the color space, you now have two different color spaces, sRGB and P3 colors, and your track time. What's also very handy is that you now can see the date you created your canvas and the date that you modified your canvas. In the Share tab, in the Actions tab, there's one new file you can export to, and that's the TIFF file. So when you press on TIFF, you can save it to your iPad, and then it exports to your photos. And of course you can export your TIFF file to the cloud or through AirDrop. And there's also a new feature, and that's called AirPlay Canvas. And when you turn that on, you can connect a second display via AirPlay. And I'm just going to show you, I opened up my Apple TV and I'm going to stream it through my Apple TV. So when you turn it off, you can see the entire screen with the menu. And when you turn it on, it will only show the canvas you're working on. So if you're doing some shows or just want to show your canvas, now you can do that through AirPlay. They also changed to connect the third-party styluses, and the menu has changed a little bit. So now it's set to none because I'm working with the Apple Pencil, and the Apple Pencil you don't need to connect through this menu. You have the donut, you can connect the Pogo stylus and the Wacom stylus. So this is a new menu for that. There's also a change in the brushes, and especially the HB pencil, the 6B pencil, and there's a new pencil which is called the Narinder pencil. And when you draw with the Narinder pencil, it doesn't seem to have pressure sensitivity because it is quite harsh. But when you draw with it with the tilt function of your Apple Pencil, you get an interesting structure, and maybe this is more used for artists who like to draw sideways with their pencil, because there is a difference in the line width when you adjust the tilt of your Apple Pencil. What has also changed are the HB pencil, and you can still sketch with it, but there's a more gradual build up when you use the tilt function, because in 3.2 that was quite harsh, and this has a very fine structure, and the HB pencil has a little bit bigger structure. And what you can do is change between the tilt function and drawing upright, and it's very gradual. So I like this a lot because I wanted to make my own custom brushes for just a pencil, but this is a very good improvement in the pencils. And I'm just going to show you the 6B pencil. This is sideways, and it's a lot more gradual in the build-up. And this structure, you really need to press harder, to get the structure, so you can build up the values in your colors. There's one new exciting thing in the layers panel, and when you press on it or select a new layer and just tap on the layer, you get a pop-up menu with rename, select, copy, fill layer, clear, alpha lock, and mask. So I'm just gonna tap on mask, and this will create a layer in two parts. On the top there's the layer mask, and below that is something you want to paint on, and you can mask it on the layer on top. So I'm just gonna paint something over the turtle. Some kind of dot. And a black dot on it as well. And now you can go to the layer mask and paint with black, and you can use any brush you want. So I'm just gonna paint with the Nico rule, and now I'm just making the mask. And when you've made a mistake, you can, paint over it with white again, and then you have your entire mask, and you can also see it here. So with black you can make your mask. So this is handy if you don't want to erase things. Then you can just use the mask feature in Procreate 4. And you can also do it with gradients as well. So it's a very subtle mask you can use. There's also another feature in the layers panel, and when you select a layer and you want to duplicate it or delete it, you can of course swipe it to the left, and then you get the lock feature, duplicate or delete. But when you drag it out, you see a plus on the upper right corner of your layer, and you're not throwing it away, but you're duplicating the layer, and it will put it on top. So I think they need to change this in the build as well, that it will just have a duplicate on top of the layer you just duplicated. Apple just announced that they're going to have a keynote on September 12th, and I think they're going to launch iOS 11. And that also means that Procreate 4 will be available on the 12th of September, or maybe a day later. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you like it, please give it a thumbs up or subscribe to my channel. And that way you won't miss a single video. Don't forget to press that notification bell, because when you press on the bell, you get a notification each time I upload a new video. Drawing is fun, and practice makes perfect. See you next time. Doodles!